Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jesse, and today I'm bringing you a book haul. I have not done like a sit-down video in a long time, so it feels weird. I feel like I've mostly switched over to only doing vlogs, but I really enjoy doing reading vlogs. I've been having a lot of fun doing videos solely focused on reading and sharing my thoughts on some books and just having some like fun concepts control my TBR. But it's also nice to switch it up every now and then and just sit down and chat with you guys. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I've got several books to share with you guys today. Some books that I picked up recently, some books that I picked up not so recently. I feel like I've pulled back a little bit on excessively buying books this year. I have still bought quite a few books this year, but I'm not as like crazy of a book buyer. I'm very intentional with the books that I do buy, and I really appreciate that. Like I feel like I've had a little bit of growth in terms of my book buying this year, so that really excites me. I just caught this section of my bookshelf in the viewfinder, and I am horrified that this is being on camera right now, but like, this is my life right now. It's a mess. This is a mess. My life is currently filled with stress because of things happening in the world. Let's not think about that today though. Let's focus on books. Let's talk about some books. This is the stack that I'm working with today. Let's dive in. The first two books that I'm going to talk about kind of go together. They're by the same author, and that is Rachel Harrison. So I've got Cackle by Rachel Harrison and Bad Dolls by Rachel Harrison. My library actually had an event in October and had Rachel Harrison come and speak, and it was really cool hearing her talk about her books. I had already heard really great things about her books, but then after hearing her actually talk about them, I was like, I'm sold. I need to pick up one of her books ASAP. So that's exactly what I did. I picked up Cackle and Bad Dolls. I feel like her books are honestly going to fulfill this specific craving that I've been having when it comes to horror books. I've been really getting into the horror genre lately. I've been really enjoying it, and I feel like her concepts are things that I've been wanting, are concepts that I've been kind of craving reading. So I'm excited to fill that craving and read these books, or rather eat these books. I'm gonna eat them up. First up here we've got Bad Dolls. This is 4 dark tales of friendship, heartbreak, hauntings, and the occasional blood sacrifice. It has stories on body image, female friendships, heartbreak, and then also hauntings. I'm very interested to see how I end up feeling about this. Short story collections are always a bit of a hit or a miss situation for me. I recently read a cozy mystery short story collection, and that was kind of a bit of a roller coaster situation. There was only like really one story that I loved, and the other two I had kind of mixed feelings about. Though that short story collection was by a bunch of different authors, and I feel like this one could be good because it might be like rather consistent, and I think that that's something that I really crave when it comes to a short story collection. I need to stop using the word crave. I'm craving specific things, and I'm just telling you my cravings, but I'm gonna stop using the word crave. I promise. We're done. We're done. It's in the trash. We've emptied the trash. Goodbye. Anyway, I'm excited to see how I end up feeling about this. Then I picked up Cackle, which is the one that I've heard the most like murmurings about. I've heard really great things about it. I believe it's a bit of a witchy story. In it, we are following our main character, Annie, who has just gone through a bit of a heartbreak situation, and she wants to literally uproot herself and move on with her life. So she does just that. She decides that she's going to move to Manhattan, to this small little village, and here she meets Sophie. Sophie is this girl that is rather mysterious, and everybody seems to avoid her, but Annie has kind of like fixated herself on her. She really likes Sophie, and Sophie has been teaching her how to live her life unapologetically, which is exactly what Annie has been needing. We follow Annie as she strengthens this bond with Sophie, and where that ends her up. Does it end her up in a dark, witchy place, or is it just this mysterious girl who she's become friends with that everybody seems to avoid? I think we're leaning towards the witchiness, okay? I think that that's where it's going. I wish I would have read this book in October, because I feel like that's the season of the witch. It would have been the perfect time to read this book, but I also fear, well, I don't fear, I'm actually excited about this. I think I've kind of like ditched my mood reader ways, and I don't know how I did it. I think honestly doing these like vlog concept videos has helped me kind of realize the fact that like I don't need to read specific books in specific seasons. I still assign books in my head to specific seasons, but I'm also not somebody that's like, I can only read this book during this specific time. Like I've kind of like shifted my mindset a little bit. We love character growth, right? We love to see it. I'm super excited about it, honestly. It's really nice. There for a while I was like, oh no, identity crisis, but like, it's exciting. It's exciting that I'm no longer a mood reader, and I feel like I've been reading a lot more because of the fact that I've been able to ditch my mood readerness. The next book is one that I am super excited about because it sounds really unique, and I love a unique concept. That book is Aletti. This is a middle grade story, and I think it has like a touch of magic. In it, we are following Aletti, who is a typewriter. He has unfortunately been abandoned by his family that used to utilize him, this being the Bundle family. They used to use him all the time, but now he is just collecting dust as technology has advanced, and they are now using technology like computers. But when Beatrice Bundle goes missing, Aletti believes that he can help the Bundle family find their mom. He decides that he is going to break the code of conduct for typewriters, and he is going to communicate with the Bundle family. He's going to spill the secrets, spill the tea, and share where he thinks Mrs. Bundle has ended up. Does that not sound fascinating? Does that not sound so unique? I love unique stories like this. I am just so intrigued. Like, I just could not help but pick this one up. Like, I am very interested to see what the perspective of the typewriter looks like. I'm interested to see what the communication looks like with the Bundle family, how the Bundle family takes the communication. Are they shocked? Do they feel like they're going crazy as the typewriter is feeding them information? Do they believe the typewriter? Do they feel like they're hallucinating? I'm just so curious to see how things end up. I'm also interested to see if Aletti has some kind of like personality, or if he's just kind of like straightforward. I'm just very intrigued. Intrigued is the word for this book, but I love a unique concept. I feel like it brings in a breath of fresh air, and I'm very interested to see how the story goes. I love that it's also a bit of a mystery situation as well. I think there's going to be a bit of a mystery with not only Mrs. Bundle going missing, but how exactly Aletti is able to communicate with this family. Now, this is a middle grade book, and historically, I don't love middle grade contemporary, so I hope that it kind of like leans into the magical realismness of the story. I would really appreciate that, because I feel like sometimes middle grade contemporary can just feel a little bit juvenile. Like, if I'm reading middle grade, I want something that's like a little bit more on the magical side of things, a little bit more fantasy. So I'm hoping that this kind of like leans into that magicalness of the typewriter being able to communicate with this family. Next up, I picked up this edition of Dracula that I've been wanting for the longest time. I've seen this in several bookstores, and every time I saw it, I was just like drooling. Not like actually drooling, like drooling in my mind. Like, I was lusting over this book, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it is gorgeous. It is stunning. I will just give you a little bit of an overview here. Here is the cover. Here is the edges, which is my favorite part. We've got bat edges. You're joking. So good. The end papers have this beautiful illustration, and there's just some like nice little details throughout the book. So I'm quite literally obsessed with this. I was planning on reading this during, you know, Halloween season, but it came and went and I did not get around to it. I was gonna do like these classic monster reading vlogs, and I pretty much filmed almost the entirety of this Frankenstein one, and then I just like didn't want to finish it. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it, but I have like a draft of an almost complete Frankenstein vlog on my computer and I never finished it. So that's unfortunate, but I was really loving Frankenstein. It was like my third or fourth time reading it, I think, but I was reading the original edition that was not edited, and I was loving it so much. It was so great, and I just never got around to finishing it. So that's not to say that I can't finish it just because it's not spooky season, because again, I've shed my mood reader ways for the most part, I think. So maybe I'll go back and try to finish Frankenstein, but I've never read Dracula. I've never seen the like OG Dracula movie, and I would be interested in seeing that, even though I watched the OG Frankenstein movie for the first time this year and I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm sure it was like iconic for its time, but like watching it in 2024 is a completely different experience. So anyway, I'm excited that I have this edition finally. Now I can like lust at it whenever I want, drool all over it, and just bask in its glory. Yes. Next up, I picked up The Teller of Small Fortunes. In this book, we are following Tao, who is an immigrant fortune teller who travels between villages telling only small fortunes. She's decided against sharing big fortunes because with the big fortunes comes big consequences. She leads a rather lonely life, but she enjoys the peace and quiet that comes with it. But one day this child goes missing and Tao ends up being like pulled into the mix with this group of people who are planning trying to go and track down this child. Everybody is different with varying personalities and varying backgrounds, but they all come together with the one focus of tracking down this child and making sure that they are safe. We follow her on this journey of kind of letting her guard down and letting connections form when before she wasn't necessarily open to the idea of letting people into her life. And I think that that's going to be a really beautiful experience watching her kind of unravel who she is to these people and form connections. It sounds like she does have some dark secrets, so I'm sure that there will be like a little bit of a conflict situation coming into play, but I'm very excited about this book, mostly because I was hosting a live stream with my channel members, and one of my channel members, Beth, was reading this book and she was like crying, sobbing, talking about it, and she was basically like, this is perfect, new favorite book alert, and of course that piqued my interest, so I immediately turned around and pre-ordered this book, and I cannot wait to get into it. I feel like if it has a little bit of a found family situation, which is what the sort of description is giving me, it's telling me that there is a bit of a found family coming together, I will probably fall hard for this book because I am trash for a found family moment. Bring it on. The next book I picked up is called Goodnight Tokyo. This takes place over several different nights from 1 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. Set in Tokyo, we follow a cast of eccentric characters who form bonds and have connections and stories that overlap. That's all that the description really told me, but the main reason that I picked this book up is because there's a show on Netflix that I used to watch when I would get really anxious. It's called The Midnight Diner, I believe. It's a Japanese show, and it's basically about all these people that come to this diner in Japan to eat in the middle of the night, and everybody that comes in to eat has a story to tell. Sometimes it's connected to the food that they have this chef make for them. Mind you, it's a show that has some rather weird moments. I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's the best show ever. It's a little strange at times, but I love it so much, especially because I was watching it during like a very anxiety-inducing time in my life. Like, I would not be able to sleep at night because all these anxious thoughts would come flooding through my mind. And the show Midnight Diner was like the one thing that was like able to like calm me down and like soothe my soul. So I guess the concept of this taking place at night and it having all these characters with these different stories is what kind of pulled me in and makes me think that it could be similar to Midnight Diner. I don't know if it's going to be anything like it. I just have a good feeling about this book. I feel like the vibes are going to be wholesome, calming, and I am very much so looking forward to the reading experience. I will let you guys know when I get around to reading this book if it does in fact feel like Midnight Diner. The next book that I picked up is The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. This is a book that I've been wanting for the longest time, and I finally decided to bite the bullet and pick it up, and I am looking forward to seeing what this book has to offer. Essentially, the concept behind this book is that it's a dictionary that's been put together, filled with new words to describe emotions that we all feel, but we don't have the exact words to express those emotions with. I feel like this is something that I constantly have a hard time with. Like, there are times when I am feeling something and I'm just like, I don't have the word for this thing that I'm feeling. So how exactly do I explain how I am feeling? So I feel like this is just going to be a fun book. Obviously, these are all like made up words, I believe. At least that's what I'm gathering from the description. I think that they are made up words. But I'm interested to see the words that the author came up with for these emotions that he just can't explain. Next up, I picked up the book The Lantern of Lost Memories. I think this is the one that I am the most excited about because it kind of reminds me a little bit of Before the Coffee Gets Cold, or a format similar to that, a concept similar to that. And obviously, I loved Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I am a diehard fan of that book. Don't care what nobody says. Don't care what the haters say. I loved that book. So I feel like this has a similar feeling, a similar vibe. From what I gather, it takes place at this otherworldly photo studio. It rests in between life and death. Before somebody dies, they enter the studio and they are allowed to kind of relive some vital memories in their lives. And so we follow several characters who are entering the studio and kind of reliving the past through these photos. I feel like this is going to be a very meaningful book. I feel like it has the potential to be very emotional, and I can't wait for it to wreck my feelings. Wreck me up, Buttercup. The last two things I got sent to me by Tain Graphic. They are two graphic novels. These are published books of these two webtoon comics. The first one we've got here is Nothing Special Volume 2, which I'm so excited about because I read Volume 1 this year and so enjoyed it. It was such a sweet, delightful little story, and I'm so excited for the journey to continue in Volume 2. Then we've got Volume 1 of Castle Swimmer. This one sounds really interesting. It's a mermaid story, which I'm looking forward to. We follow Kappa, who is essentially this chosen one of the sea and is set to kind of take on several prophecies. On the flip side of it though, we've got our character named Siren, who is setting out to basically take out Kappa. Like, he's like, you gotta go, bro. What you're doing is affecting my people and we can't have that. But when the two meet, fate has a different plan for them and they end up catching feelings for each other. Oh my god. I feel like this one is going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to diving in and seeing what it has to offer. Those are all the books that I've picked up recently. I'm excited to get around to each and every one of these books. I want to hear from you guys down below in the comments. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts are on them. Unless you like hated them, maybe don't tell me that you hated them. No, you know what? You can tell me if you've hated it. It's okay. I can take it. I can take that opinion and not let it affect my opinion. If you haven't read any of those books though, let me know down below in the comments some books that you've picked up recently. I want to hear from you guys down below in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright, that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye, yo!